With the console editions of CrossCode coming out, that means an influx of new players for the game. Having that in mind, I decided to create a list of tips, 6 tips that I wish I had known going in, that won't also spoil the game. Any footage shown here will be from about the first fourth of the game, and only include one puzzle solution, so it shouldn't mess with your experience of the game. The first tip is just that puzzles are usually solved in the 8 cardinal directions. That means north, northeast, east, southeast, etc. It's often safe to assume that you'll be taking shots in one of these directions. If a shot feels really jank, chances are it's not what is intended, though that's not to say some solutions aren't odd. Tip 2 is how to determine depth. It's not flawless, but CrossCode's 2.5D sort of camera angle makes it really hard to figure out where things are in the world. But one thing you can do to help with that is to aim with your throw. The red dots will be at your height, and they will bounce off any walls that are at your level, so things that would block you. And they will also cast shadows downward onto the surface that they're over, so that should sort of help you get a feel for what's below you or at your level, or above you. Tip 3 is when you are farming plants and particular monsters, it might be helpful to save and reload. Usually with monsters, you'd rather just get combat rank S, which is something you'll learn about in the game. But with plants, definitely, I would recommend just find the plant that you want to break, the omega of it, break it, save, reload. Game loads pretty fast, although I don't know about console editions. And then it'll be right there for you to break again. Everything gets respawned when you reload a save. Tip 4 is how to break enemies. Since CrossCode lets you play very defensively and survive for extended periods of time, it's worth spending some time experimenting with an enemy while you fight it to find out how to break them. Almost every enemy has a way to be broken, and in general, the methods of breaking fall into 2 categories. The first category is an interrupt break, where they're doing some sort of action like attacking or charging, or for whatever reason they're in a state where they're blinking bright red. You'll usually want to throw a charge shot or do a perfect parry or a melee attack on them to cause them to break. The other category is a meter break, which is where you're doing something specific to the enemy and a meter starts building and eventually leads to a break. This is usually either caused by hitting a specific spot or hitting them with a specific element. Tip 5 is that the neutral circuit's passives are always active. Unlike the other elemental circuits, the passives in the neutral tree are always active. It's just when you're not in the neutral tree, they are only half as effective. Tip 6 is how to apply status effects, which is that normal shots in melee and some combat arts don't apply any status effect at all, but charge shots and other certain combat arts will apply status effects. So if you want to, say, have an enemy have the heat status effect, being on fire, then you'll want to shoot them with charge shots and probably use the flamethrower combat art. There are many more tips and tricks to learn about CrossCode, such as how amazing Guard Sphere is, but these were the 6 I felt like would be the most beneficial to know and help improve a new player's experiences.